Hey guys, this is Chodaros, and thanks for joining me to go over a Loom organizer and some Loom bands inside. So this is from the company Talented Kidz. It can be purchased on Amazon.com, which the link is provided below. And so they had contacted me and asked if I would do a review. And I'm gonna probably guess my review is gonna be about Bling, since that's basically what my love is. So this is a very informal tutorial review, meaning I'm just grabbing my everyday supplies. This isn't staged, and I'm just going to see if it is capabilities and whatnot for my looming everyday use. So to begin with, we have the case, and it is a 28 compartment case, and I have been, playing and touching and moving and all that, and I can say that it is a good case. Very happy with the case. Okay. And all of the compartments inside are removable, which is fabulous, which means that this is a refill case. It does not come with a loom or a hook or anything, but it does have the capability that you can move compartments around, so you can fit a loom, monster tail, hooks, and whatnot. So let's go ahead and open this up. And it is a 14 by 9 by 2 organizer. So it opens easily and it closes easily, which means I dumped it around and shook it. And I will say there were a couple bands that went into the other compartments, but overall, I would purchase this case. All right, so the bands that are inside, I'm gonna zoom in a tad. There is a total count of 7,000 bands. 7,000 bands. That is a ton of rubber bands. All of the rubber bands have been tested, which means that they have been tested for they don't contain lead, phthalates, which is the cancer-causing agent, and latex. Okay, so let's begin touching and looking. There are different combinations, which I'm going to go over more specifically after just the beginning review here. One thing that I have noticed, for instance, this is considered jelly, and this one here is like an opaque. Okay, they are the same consistency almost. I mean, you can tell that this one is a jelly, and by looks, but as far as the thickness, all the bands in this case are exactly the same, in my opinion. And that's the other thing that everyone needs to understand. This is only my personal review. So my goal is to review it to my best for my needs and help you get a better understanding of the product, and then you develop your own opinion as to whether or not to purchase. So there's just all different types. These are like a polka dot. There's different colors. And we have some tie-dye or color combination bands. Oops. And these are more like a jelly consistency. So there's our overall view. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty and start playing with them. And I've got a huge surprise at the end of our review. So give me a minute, get set up, and we'll be right back. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do is go straight onto the website on Amazon for purchase and compare the description to what I've actually received. So we are receiving 28 different rainbow colored rubber bands. So the first section that they are that we have is 5 glow in the dark. So up here in the corner up here, these are the 5, and they are 5 different compartments. So you get 1 compartment full of each color. So that is a good one. We have that. 6 tie-dyes or color combinations, which is these bands here in the center. This one, as I showed you earlier, for example, has like a jelly-like consistency, as opposed to this one here is more of a opaque. And I'll go ahead and show you. These are very stretchy bands, but they are a thin band. Okay, so let's do a test real quick. I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to lay it down, and it sure does go back to almost its original size. Okay, so those right there are your tie-dyes and two-tone combinations. Next it says we get 5 glitters. So these are the 5 glitters. So we get a purple, a yellow, a reddish pink, blue, and it's like a gold. Okay, so we do have those. And the next that they say that they provided was metallic gold and silver. So of course these are my 2 favorites. I love them already. But on top of that, they do offer 5 colors in a mixed metallic compartment. So one compartment has mixed colors, and these are it. So we have, again, the gold, green, orange, pink, and purple. Okay, so we're so far so good to the description. After that would be jelly colors. So right here, these are the jellies. Again, they're the same consistency as the glitter, the glow in the dark, same elasticity. So we've got pink, red, purple, blue, and clear. And then after that, we should be receiving mixed dotted colors. Okay, so down here, pink, orange, black, purple, and blue. So these are of a opaque consistency with a little bit of a sheen to it, but they are not jelly-like compared to this glitter one. Okay, so again, same stretchiness. And lastly, they are stating mixed jelly with glitter. Okay, so I lined this all up the way that it was presented online. So the only thing that confuses me is in the beginning we had 5 glitters, okay, which we did go over, and that are these right here, but in the end it's saying mixed jelly with glitter. So in my box, all I received was mixed jelly with glitter. There are 5 colors, but it's a bit confusing online compared to what you've received. That's the only thing as far as organization and band compartments that a red flag I've seen so far. But otherwise, everything is exactly spot on compared to online. So we also receive some charms, and these are just some of the examples. This one's like a little elephant, and like a sun, and a rose. And they are, you add them to your bracelets with this little, we're going to call it a jump ring. It says jump ring. Okay, so here's the thing with me. Okay, I make adult bracelets, and the reason I say that is because jewelry, the beads that I use have a high count of phthalates in them, which is the cancer-causing agent, but it is acceptable for adult use. For children's use, it is, the law is it has to be at 0.1%. So this is a children's product. I couldn't put this on my bracelets if I were to, you know, make them for an adult. But I do have children, and I do have friends that have children. And I think that these are a great type of a charm if you wanted to add it to a fishtail, a single chain. Definitely would not incorporate this into a thick design that's done on multiple looms or whatnot, but it is a great charm for the children. It's basically just a rubber stamp. Okay, and we do get beads, and the beads that are included. So we get 350 S-clips, 12 charms, and beads. Okay, so these beads are basically pony beads. So you can buy these in the store. They're the same exact. That's what they are. So again, that is more geared towards the children. So as far as likability, they're cute, great, but as far as my usability, it wouldn't interest me to purchase them if I had to separately. Okay, so the next thing that I'd like to go over is the fact that they are so stretchy and thin. What are they going to do when we actually use them, right? So I have played around a little bit, and let me give you some of my examples. The first one that I made was actually, I wanted to go with a real design I would actually make. And this is Artisan Loom's Fish Tooth, I believe is what it's called. Fish Tooth Bracelet. So this is off of a 3-pin bar setup, traditional setup, and it incorporates beads. So very successful, easy to add the bands, easy to loom the bands, but there was just one thing that really caught my attention that threw up a red flag. When you make this bracelet, and I'll show you because I have an example already set up. When you're making a bracelet that has multiple bands on the perimeter pin bars, which are the 2 outside pin bars, and our last step is to loom up the perimeter, every band broke. So I knew how to correct it so they didn't break, but compared to other brands of bands, that is one thing that kind of got me there. So I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to show you again on my example, and we'll see what happens here. So I've already gone ahead and added bands. So this is just a plain pattern as far as I didn't follow a tutorial. I just wanted to load the loom up with some bands, okay? I used every color I could see in the case. So I'm just going to give it a go and let's see what happens. So we have a border that goes around the top. And they're very slippy. They're slippery bands, smooth bands. So like I just kind of made a boo-boo. They might slip off your hook, but the positive on that is that they do not twist. They do not get caught up as silicone bands would. So again, this may not be a typical review, but this is just my personal approach to how to show viewers the bands that I was given. So we have the first step done, perimeter on top. Next, I laid a band that shows a long stretch. So that band's going from this peg to this peg. and across. So we'll see how it does with the long stretch. And perfect. There is no issue at all when it comes to going up like that with a long stretch. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera and finish, but I will just do the rest little bit that I have here because my goal is to make this with a lot of tension to see if it can withhold, to see what type of bracelets can be created with the bands. All right, so I'm looming that one forward. Then I'm going to loom. Then I have one that's going across, so I'm just going to take one of them and go this way, and then I'm going to take the bottom of it and cross it back over. So that's putting a stretch on the band. So if you can see right there, the more you stretch it, it thins out your band, okay? Which in a lot of cases, if I seen that on my loom bracelet, for example, using rainbow loom bands, that's an indicator that it's going to break, but that is just showing you how thin the bands are. All right, so that's going to be the first peg I start with when I do my perimeter after the bracelet's finished. So again, I'm just going to go off camera quickly, finish looming this up, and then we'll do the perimeter and see what the outcome is. So I have finished looping all of the bands, and trust me, I have band stretching, okay? It's very easy to loom it. So my last step is only to loom up the perimeter. So we have quite a few high tension pegs here, and we'll see what happens. So first band, good. That was a glitter, and I'm not trying to make these break. I am solely just looming as I normally would. Okay, I'm not doing anything different. Okay, that one made it. That one broke. Okay, so we have that one there that broke. So I only had one left to go. I'm going to go ahead and start down here. That one did really good. That one did good. That one did good. And that one did good. So out of all of this, we only had one break. The one that I used was actually an opaque blue. So I kind of didn't put any on the border for the opaques, but that was just my experience. So I wanted to see and show you in real life if it would break or not. So, and I had beads on some, and some didn't have beads. So they are very durable when it comes to, it's not really going to pull off because it broke, you know. But they for the most part, and like I said, I didn't pick a certain color pattern or anything, but for the most part, they are pretty durable. That was my only thing was I would be very cautious on what type of bracelets that you would use to make with these bands. I definitely would not do, for example, Lumaniac's designs are 7 pin bars wide and loaded up, or Artisan Looms. A lot of hers are such a high tension that they're actually bringing up our new 6 pin bar bases provided by Rainbow Loom. So I just wanted to show you that. And then the next one that I did was I wanted to see what it was like on a fishtail. So I did not follow any type of a tutorial for this one. I just used 5 pins, loaded them up with bands, and it did excellent. No breakage whatsoever. Okay, and it actually looks nice. These are like these are the jellies. So thumbs up on the fishtail. And personally, the other type of looming that I do is hook only, and obviously extremely satisfied with the look and looming of the bands. So I just did my, I I think I just named it how to add jump rings to a hook only bracelet. You can find on my channel, and it worked out perfect. So I guess the only other thing is the ultimate test. This is really the only thing that personally, this is what I want to know. So I am a 100% fan of Rainbow Loom. That will never go away. First product I ever bought was Rainbow Loom. Now, over time, because I was going to the store, buying with my son, if I came across other bands, yes, I did purchase them. But learning over time that the different companies, their bands are not of lower quality, in my opinion. Because now that we have so many different types of bands, we have the 600 dual layer pack from Rainbow Loom, silicone bands, you know, we have different textures, different consistencies. So right now, what needs to be thought of, in my opinion, is what type of band should I use for this specific bracelet, okay? So that takes away, there are no bands that are bad bands. Just don't use a band that's not very elastic on a tight woven bracelet. I mean, it's a little bit common sense in my opinion, but everybody is different. So the two tools that I'm going to use, this here is a 32 gauge wire. You can buy it on a spool. It's made for jewelry making. And this right here is a plastic wire that comes off of our string of beads that we purchase. And you can also buy it in a spool, but hands down, thank you to Artisan Loom. She's the first one to introduce us to this. Okay, so I went into my box and I've got the worst, absolute worst looming beads ever that I can't ever use because they don't want to go on bands. Company and who makes what band is not necessary to share, but on the left here, I do have some bands that are made from a couple different companies, and I can just show you from one opaque to the next. I guess they do look fairly similar in thickness, but this is extremely airy and thin, and this one's a lot thicker. Okay, that's going to be a huge difference when we go to add bling to the bands. Okay, so I'm going to start with, this is the one I used earlier on that shark bracelet. So this is just a regular opaque band. So we're going to, and you can see this band is insane. Like I don't use them. I tried to use them when I actually wanted to take the time to add them, but it's too much of a pain. Okay, so we're doing like we normally do. Trying to make it where I can show. And you know, our next step is just to slide it onto the band. Look at that. Look at that. Like that totally made my day when I first did that. So, big thumbs up, big thumbs up. This bead actually moves on this band as if it was a seed bead, a size 6/0 seed bead. Those beads are what we typically put on our perimeter, which has been made famous by the great Artisan Loom. The reason that seed beads are great for the perimeter is whenever we go to loom it, when we're all finished, we always have to slide it, right? Put it in place. This bead would never do this so easily on a jelly or an opaque other brand of bands. So, thumbs up for that. I'm going to try another couple small beads and then awaits our surprise. Okay, another one. This one I think is even smaller than the one we just did. So I have to use my 32 gauge wire because the thing is, it doesn't matter what type of band you use. If when you have to bend the wire to make a V, if that bend's too big, it's not going to even go over the bead. Okay, so let's take it and see what happens. And it slides right on the bead. Now let's check out the band. There is no intrusions, no cuts, no nothing into the band. And as the other one, it flows freely on the band. So that is what I look for. Perfect. This is the best band I have ever beaded since I started looming. I have never had a band that was that easy. All right, so let's try a small pearl. These ones I bought and they're ridiculous. I can't even put them on a clear jelly band half the time. So you can see, small hole. Okay, I have it on the wire. And it was easy. It was easy. So that is the great part of them being so thin. But again, you cannot discriminate. You have to understand that just because a bead goes on the band easily and it can move, you need to make sure that you are putting these bands on, using them on a design that will withhold the type of band, okay? I would definitely suggest using these as a perimeter as long as it's not a built-up perimeter with a heavy load that's going to bog it down and make it break. So I think that includes, I'll do this one here. So this is the metallic, and it might be a little bit thicker, might be, or maybe it's just the sheen. And this is just like a diamond, or it could be a square, but it has 2 holes on either side. So this is a metal. We consider these metals because they're metal, as opposed to a bead. It's more of a metal. All right. Ta-da! I mean, that was just purely easy. So as far as blingable, absolutely 100%, 150%, give it a thumbs up for bling. Best band that I've ever blinged. All right, so one other thing that I wanted to test, oops, which I have done in the past. Actually, one of the first bracelets that I posted was the gumdrop bracelet that I added spacer, the big spacer beads, like this too, okay? This one is a thick bracelet, okay? If you did a fishtail, it would be super thin. This one's a thick one, but what I want to test is, can I stretch this bracelet thin enough to get whatever thick spacer I have on top, and what is its limits? All right, so when we do a spacer bead, we always want to put the spacer bead on top, put it on our hook first when we're starting out, and then we put our hook just inside a couple of the bands to get a good hold on it. But what we need to do is we need to stretch. But before I stretch, I just want to put this over and see what happens if I can actually just pull it over the shape it has. And holy cow, I sure can. Impressive. So I didn't even have to stretch and thin out the bracelet, it slid. So that's a good indicator to show you how nice and smooth and silky these bands are. So that's good. I like that. These are the same size hole, okay? But they do have a brim on them, and they are a lot thicker. But we're going to try it out and see what happens. So I am pulling it just a tad right there. Now I'm not touching the bracelet, I'm just holding it with my hook. So I'm having a hard time with this bead, but that's okay because what we typically need to do is pull on both sides of the bracelet. Okay? We always do that no matter what type of band that we're using to slide it on top. Okay, so that works extremely well. And this is just a different type of rhinestone spacer. And I assume it's going to go just as smooth. And of course, so those of you that like the Pandora look, you can definitely achieve that with these bands. So again, this is a 5-pin setup on the monster tail. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and created this example. So it's thick. Okay? All right, so I know I probably didn't say everything or whatnot, but like I said, this is a very informal review because I wanted it to be as if I am just starting to make a bracelet. So here is the challenge of all challenge. The absolute. And I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one that started looming these. And these are the Rhinestones. I don't believe I ever saw anybody do that before I added them to rubber bands. And they have become quite popular, and they are a horrific experience to add to bands because they're actually made for clothing. Whoops. And, oh, sorry. They have 4 small holes. Okay, so typically we only use the one side, so we go from this end to that end, okay? Do you see how small? I haven't beaded anything smaller than that. That's the worst. Plus, the thing about these is the bracket, this cup. The cup that the rhinestone sits in. It's square, and squares have edges. So it can pop your band as well. So what I want to do is I want to grab, let's see, I'll grab a jelly, I'll grab an opaque, I'll grab a polka dot, and let me grab the metallic. All right, so it is a must. 32 gauge. This works well, but anything, the higher the number of gauge, the thinner the wire. 32. A 20 gauge wire is what I would make a jump ring out of. All right, so I'm going to start with this metallic gray or metallic silver and put it down on my thread. And let's see what happens. So I'm going in the one side and I come out the other. Okay, let's see. Holy macanoli, it went right on the band. I do not even have to pull on this band. Oh my gosh. I have never been able to do that with a rhinestone and a loom band. Super, super happy with that. 100% will use these bands to loom rhinestones. Because when I started looming and blinging, always used clear bands. Because I never incorporated the band that the bead was on in the design. Now, like Artisan Loom, she has always done that. She has always made the perimeter with the seed beads and that. So you really need to know what colors you need. But a lot of designs you can get through by putting bling on it without having to worry about the band. If that's the case, absolutely can use these. So I'm going to try one more on a different kind of band, or it's an opaque. Okay, got it threaded and went right through. That is a miracle. That is just a great way to show you right there on how thin and smooth these bands are. So I am really, really happy. And there are a lot of regular colors, like I would use black, you know, so black, and there's red and metallics. So it's very easy to be able to pick a color and loom with them. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so one more example I just wanted to show you. I wanted to actually compare it because this is a big deal to me. So this is another brand's jelly band. Okay, so the last challenge, this is Talented Kidz clear band, and this is another brand's clear band. Okay, this is what I always started out with and swear by when I am adding rhinestones to bracelets. Okay, it's like always been the easiest one for me to excuse me, loom. So I'm going to show you the difference. If I can get this in here. I need glasses. Okay, so we have it threaded, and I'm going to do it just as I just did the Talented Kidz brand. I can't even budget, okay? I can't even budget. Now it went. It just went there. Okay, and still, I have problems. So typically what I do is I grab it by the band. Then, once it's on the band, then I stretch it. And then I could place it in the center, okay? But this does not move freely as it did on the other band. It does move freely, okay? It does move and it does what I want, but it isn't as much as on the other band, okay? So, this is my band of choice whenever I add rhinestones before I was introduced to Talented Kidz bands. I'm going to do one more of a competitor, another company's. Okay, so you see like this one here. This is a silicone band, and this is the Talented Kid. I mean, there's just no comparison. So I wouldn't even do that, you know? Like, I'm not even going to try to loom this because that's just, or put a bead on it. That's rude. But I want to do one that's similar. This is another brand opaque white. So I'm going to put that on. Excuse me. And grab another rhinestone. Okay, so again doing the same as I did with the Talented Kidz, and I can't get it on the band. Okay. It's not going. So what I have to do when I use different types of those, I have to put it on the end of the loom to help me pull on it to thin out the band. Then, and only then, I can only hope that it's not going to break. Okay, so I have to get it on just enough, like that, where I can have a grip on the other side for the band, and then I have to stretch it and put it in the center. Okay, so I am not saying there is any other company out there that their bands do not work, but I'm just showing you personally how I have found adding rhinestones to the rubber bands completely very difficult. But I would definitely suggest, if you are a blinger and you are adding bling to big long bracelets like Artisan Looms, Sharian Looms, Lumaniac, Expert Looms, they have a large variety of bracelets that require bling, or you can bling the perimeter. I would definitely suggest these bands. So again, these are Talented Kidz brand bands, and please at least click on the link below and check out what they offer. And this, pick up my camera, this right here that I am reviewing again is 7,000 bands, and it is just a simple organizer with 28 compartments that are all completely removable, and as well as the charms and the S-clips. Okay, so that is the end of my review, and I hope that I have helped you in some way to give you a better understanding of this brand, and I hope if you do purchase that you are as satisfied as I am when it comes to Bling. So thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.